Frank Woodworth has an axe to grind, World Cup halftime meh, and Google domination. Welcome to the Unlimited Supply Podcast, your daily music business TLDR in your ear, powered by a shower of queeners and rods, and brought to you by No Disc, helping music technology and finance companies navigate the music industry in partnership with Digital Music News. It's July 24th, 2026. I'm Lars Murray. It's another Finance Friday, but before we dive into the shallow money trench, well, the streaming bump numbers from the World Cup final are in. Over in Billboard, Kevin Rutherford did the rundown of how the controversial World Cup halftime show had affected streaming numbers for the songs and artists featured. From the artist standpoint, if you're measuring the impact of the halftime show by streaming numbers, well, it might not have been worth all the controversy in terms of raw numbers. The biggest gainer was Shakira and Burna Boy's Die Die. The World Cup anthem had the biggest raw number bump of a couple of 100,000 streams on the day, up 25% to nearly 1 million. Which is not surprising. Die Die was the biggest anthem of the month, and based on my own anecdotal observations, Shakira was the most popular, or at least objectionable, of the halftime artists to the traditional soccer audience. As for other songs in the show, Justin Bieber's Buzzkill Everything Hallelujah had a higher percentage jump than Shakira's, up 34% to her 25%. But the raw numbers were dwarfed by Shakira. Everything Hallelujah only pulled 130,000 streams on the day. Madonna and BTS, who were also in the show, both did slightly better than that, with their respective songs Music and Dynamite up 6 and 13% respectively, but still only in the mid-100,000s. The biggest percentage winner on the day was I Show Speed, who significantly performed in the pregame show. His track Champions was up 61% day over day, but again, still with less overall volume, going from 75K to roughly 120K. Why do all these numbers seem so meh? Well, because we have a comparison set, which would be the Super Bowl halftime show. The show that the World Cup final halftime show was aping so thirstily just back in February, the US-centric Super Bowl halftime show helped Bad Bunny go supernova. His streams went up 175%, from 30 million to nearly 100 million overnight. So again, from an artist standpoint, this divisive and long halftime show may not have been all that in terms of promotional value, though it seems unlikely that FIFA will reverse course on that anytime soon. All right, let's dive into the shallow money trench where thieves and pimps run free. Google, Alphabet, whatever you want to call it, did its earnings call this week, and anybody hoping that Google would be disrupted by AI or knocked off its pedestal at least is going to have to wait a while. The overall revenue for Alphabet was up 24% year over year, even as the company is dumping billions into building AI infrastructure to keep pace with OpenAI and Anthropic, who aren't even public yet. But what does all of this have to do with music? Well, it turns out that tiny subsidiary of Google, YouTube's subscriber growth eclipsed its ad growth in the quarter, and Google actually pointed to YouTube Music as one of the standout services driving that subscriber growth. This isn't particularly surprising, given that people who use YouTube tend to use it a lot and on their TVs now, and that getting rid of those pesky ads is a major user experience upgrade, whether you're watching World Cup clips or Drake videos. We'll have a little more on Monday about YouTube's place in the music streaming ecosystem, but suffice it to say that, like the World Cup halftime show, YouTube isn't going away anytime soon. The most astonishing thing about YouTube right now is that it's accomplished this global domination and now competition with the mighty Netflix while barely laying out a dime in advance on content creation and shifting all of the risk to its creators. Kind of the way the music industry has been operating more and more lately. Used to be labels and publishers invested in developing artists, but in the creator economy, more and more the artists are spending the time and money themselves to develop their careers, and then they get cherry-picked when they're already successful. Granted, this means that labels and even YouTube pay a higher percentage of their earnings to the successful artists, but it also means their hit-to-miss ratio is essentially rendered moot. Over in Music Business Worldwide this week, Scott Cohen, the co-founder of The Orchard and more recently the CEO of music finance startup Jukebox, has the novel idea that artists and songwriters deserve a piece of the pie and not just to be the filling in that pie. Every Friday, we talk about the queeners and rods being exchanged as companies like Cobalt and Downtown, built on the hard work of their artist customers, are transacted in those billion and $100 million piles of cash. And when Cobalt or Downtown change hands, how much of that lettuce ends up in the artist sandwich? None. Nada. And that's what Scott thinks should change. He has the novel idea that the blood, sweat, tears, and risk that artists and songwriters contribute to the building of these companies entitles them to a piece of the action in these transactions. A little lettuce, a little pie filling for the artists and songwriters. What a concept! Mind blown. You can read Scott Cohen's reasons why and his suggestions for how at his guest editorial over at Music Business Worldwide. That is Scott Cohen's axe to grind, and he's invited to do it here too, but we have an axe grinder of our own today. Frank Woodworth is a creative media executive, analyst, advisor, and professor. His consultancy, Glacial Concepts, builds strategy and marketing initiatives for tech companies, artists, and labels across music, augmented reality, art, streaming, and live events. Previously, Frank was GM of independent record labels 11/7 Music and Strange Loop Music. He also created the first completely mobile ticketed concert with Rah Rah Riot. But wait, there's more. Frank is also a professor at Northeastern. He created and teaches the classes Actionable Analytics and Monetizing Music Fandom. This bio is actually almost as long as his Axe Grinder segment, which addresses a pet misconception in the industry. Take it away, Frank.
I'm Frank Woodworth. This is my axe to grind. My axe to grind today is the streaming music per stream rate. It does not exist. How many slices are in a pizza? Instinctively, you probably say 8, but that's not the answer. The answer is however many times you cut it. Streaming music payments are the same way. There is no per stream rate. You see headlines about Spotify paying 0.003 cents per stream, and someone else on their high horse saying, I'm going with a different streaming service that pays artists a slightly higher per stream rate, but they all pay the same. It is not a per stream rate. It is just your slice of the pizza. The majority of streaming services use something called pro rata streaming, where the pool of subscription revenue is divided by the percentage agreements with the different rights holders, labels, and publishers. Master rights, the recordings are generally 52 to 55% of subscription revenue. Publishing is another 15%. And so when you talk about per stream rate, it's really the percentage of the amount of streams that an artist has compared to the overall streams divided by all of the revenue that was collected and the percentage of that revenue that is directed towards that part of the right. So what happens is all of these different headlines, it's a very easy headline to say that one company has a higher per stream rate than the other. Or if you are having a conversation with a music fan where they say, I'm going with this service because it pays artists better. It doesn't. There is no per stream rate. There are 2 new services that are trying a per stream rate. The first is Tape Deck, which has a penny per stream floor, and then the artist gets to set the rate that they would want. And the second is Sawtooth out of the UK, and they use 4 pence per stream. And that's divided in the same way, which ends up being 2.8 cents or pence, then divided by the rights holders. Another solution is something I've been playing around with, which is time-based payments, where the longer a song is, the more it gets paid. And you set a per second rate or a per 10-second rate. And that allows you to have payments for short form video like TikTok, where if it's 15 seconds of a song or 6 seconds of a song, it could have an actual rate. And it rewards listening to music. So November Rain would get paid more than Laid by James, or Stairway to Heaven would get paid more than certainly John Cage's Silence, which is only 404. All of these ideas are different than the current system, which, whether it's pro rata or user-centric streaming, and user-centric streaming is that same division, but it's divided by the user itself, which is certainly fairer than pro rata, but still there's no per stream rate. It's still just the division of revenue. And it's an easy headline. United Masters posted a video of Snoop Dogg talking about he had a song that got 1 billion streams, but only paid him $45,000. Well, that's not a per stream rate. Or the headlines for Qobuz having a 1.7 cents per stream. Or Ditto Music on their homepage saying that Tidal pays 1.3 cents per stream. So it pays more. It doesn't. It does not pay more. There is no per stream rate, just like that slice of pizza. The per stream rate does not exist. I'm Frank Woodworth, and that was my axe to grind.
Thank you, Frank Woodworth. Come back anytime. And that's another Finance Friday. Time for the Song of the Week. I admitted I couldn't finish Stranger Things, but the music its actors have been throwing off has been a lot better than the last 2 seasons of the show. Joe Keery's Joe has been riding his massive hit End of Beginning for a while now, and now it's Finn Wolfhard's turn. Our Song of the Week is called I'll Let You Finish, and it's from his album Fire from the Hip, which came out 2 Fridays ago. It's on our Unlimited Supply official podcast playlist on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Qobuz, and there's a link in the show notes. Support for Unlimited Supply comes from you, our listeners, and now we have Unlimited Supply supporter swag. It's my birthday tomorrow, so please give us some support, either by purchasing the limited edition Unlimited Supply trucker cap in our store bundled with a year-long premium membership. We also have Unlimited Supply merit badges, or you can just buy me a cup of coffee. If you like what you hear, please hit that follow button wherever you get your pods. For my birthday, follow us on Substack. For my birthday, drop us a rating and or a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify, and tell a friend or 3, preferably 21 times, because according to marketing whiz Susie Schultz, it now takes not 5, but 21 times for anything to sink in. Links are in the show notes, but you can also visit unlimitedsupplypod.com to sign up for our newsletter, to tell us what you think about the show, to suggest feature ideas, to feed us info, to feed us lunch, to call us out on our dubious assertions, and to tell us what we're missing out on. In the words of the great philosopher Eduardo Rivadavia, don't let your short-term greed get in the way of your long-term greed. And remember, in this business, no conflict means no interest.